Well, obviously, since I am now the next speaker, and well, I am not so as passionate as Dr. Baluja for the sector he is known for. So probably there will be some overlapping of thoughts, which is there, but probably I will try to skip slides because that probably may become a kind of a known behavior. Safety is global road safety scene is really very serious. 1.4 million deaths every year. They're bound to increase to 2.1 million deaths by 2030. And as Dr. Baluja pointed out, that a lot of effort are being done at the international level to kind of carve out certain agenda for next 10 years, and probably some direction, some suggestions toward that direction I would be probably culminating in. Well, we all know developing countries probably are fatalities are maximum developing countries compared to developed countries. The reason's obvious because of the kind of contextual situations which are prevalent in developing countries in terms of the heterogeneity of traffic, the increasing vehicle ownerships, the kind of culture which probably Dr. Baluja was referring to. A lot of causal factors are there. And you have a sizable number of vulnerable road users of the total fatalities. Almost good 60 to 65% are VRUs, so to say. It is also very important to note that, well, increasing vehicles doesn't necessarily mean increasing fatality rates. Some of the developed countries, in spite of increasing vehicle ownership, have been able to bring down the fatality. Whereas the developing countries, particularly China, India is really on the S-shaped curve of increasing vehicle. And I think one of the serious issues that we are also increasing in terms of fatality. So our fatality rate per registered vehicles is increasing, which is all the more dangerous because we are increasing vehicle, and if we are increasing also fatality, it is a compound effect. So I think that is something which is very, very serious. And I think apart from the issues which Dr. Baluja referred to, I think certain decisions at the policy level to really see how vehicles proliferation. So the ratio is 1:5. If population increasing by two times, the vehicles probably are increasing. So 1:7. Now that is the kind of consequence that, obviously we are passing through an era of economic liberalization, increasing in disposable incomes, and all these are compounding into increased vehicles. But on the other side, our safety records are very poor. Now obviously we are probably, we are incurring about 1.2 lakh, as rightly pointed, in terms of fatal accidents. This curve actually shows that the fatalities are increasing over the years. From 1970, we were just about 20-odd thousand fatal accidents, and we are 1.2 lakh fatal accidents. So we are increasing, and probably we are increasing at the rate of about 5% per year in terms of fatal accident, which is really something which we should seriously think about. Now, obviously, I've done some effort to say that, well, there are certain regional issues also. You've got certain states which are more accident prone, vis-a-vis certain states which are less accident prone. For example, states like Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, you've got Uttar Pradesh. So you've got states which are, what I was just referring to, the point that the accidents also is a regional issue. It's not really, one is the national issue, but it is also a regional issue. Certain pockets of the country are really exhibiting high accident rate, and I think our policy also need to be probably regional specific, because until you address the regional and the cultural dimensions into your policy, you won't be able to achieve the kind of target which we are referring to. I think that probably will be another very important point. Well, because of the heterogeneity of the level of capacity across the spectrum of the country. I mean, some cities are fairly well placed, but then if you go across, you find a varied kind of a culture in terms of education and traffic engineering, as rightly pointed out. Human behavior is again a very important issue. I mean, let us not forget, in spite of good roads, at times it's also the human behavior. You've got vehicles which are moving on the opposite side of the stream, which may be tied up to the enforcement, but then the issue will be how long you can keep on enforcing on a highway. So I think some issues will have to be addressed at the education level, which I'll come later. Now, so to sum up, what are the issues of safety? We have issues of regulations, we have issues of inadequate trauma care. I'm sure Professor Mishra is doing an excellent job, but we need many more such institutes across the country to really bring that rate really down. And I think a beginning has been made in that direction. Education is there. Public apathy and resistance toward the issue of road safety. It's also, I mean, it's not really a passion for people to really think. It's more of a lip service. I fully appreciate. I think so. It has to be a mission-driven objective of really working out towards a policy. That probably is important. The sector is highly fragmented. Non-involvement of police organizations, well, partly true, and also partly because of their own compulsions of their capacities and their probably work culture, which is there. There is absolutely no coordination between the various stakeholders, as also pointed out: traffic police, road department, MORTH, NGOs, weak institutional arrangement. So some examples, though we shouldn't be so pessimist. There are new projects coming up where you have certain design principles being built into safety. Some overview of those. I have just given a small overview of what kind of projects are coming and where some elements of safety is being built in. So it's not a very kind of a pessimist kind of a thing, but then we are miles away from the ideal. I mean, let us put it that way. Global best practices, we all are aware. You've got Netherlands Sustainable Safety, Vision Zero in Sweden. You've got Swiss programs. You've got Belgian Road Safety Fund. Some of these very established and global best practices are there. I think we also need to draw some lessons and not fix target based on these case studies, because we are not able to get to those targets. We have to be realistic in setting targets. I think that is very important. Since this workshop was supposed to address the Millennium Development Goals, we all know that there were 8 goals and none of the goals really talk about safety. And that is what was the idea, that we talk about hunger, education, empowerment, mortality reduction, maternal health, HIV, environmental sustainability, and finally a global partnership for development. But I think in none of these goals you have really safety as a very important objective. And I think this is where we need to kind of take a call that how the safety can be built into this, one of these kind of a goal. Well, I'm not repeating what Dr. Baluja said. Already Commission for Global Road Safety has been set up. They've fixed a target to kind of reduce accidents by 2020 by 50%. And they are requesting the member countries to really chalk out an action plan. And obviously this action plan probably would need elements of planning, it would need elements of financing, it would need elements of design, it would need elements of how you need to be passionate about a project. I think all those has to be dovetailed into the agenda. What would be the ingredients of a successful road safety policy would be, I think this is something very important. I just thought political commitment, as Mr. Baluja pointed, is very important. We need to have clear-cut targets and strategies, which again probably become ambitious at times. We need to have preset budgets. There are no budgetary allocations per se. We need to define those budgets very nicely. We need to have conducive institutional setup. Again, it is lacking. A strong legal and enforcement machinery, and finally monitoring and evaluation. I think these probably will become a good policy, successful ingredient of a road safety policy. So if our actions could be evolved around such commitments as to how they can take place, then I think we might be addressing some of the issue of the safety reduction. I mean the safety improvement. Now, obviously, the decade of action probably in the context of India would probably need a goal and specific objectives. It would need activities and it would need funding. You need to specify what would be the goal. That would probably then give us a target that I can achieve only 10% or 20% reduction. I think otherwise it will become more of a lip service kind of a thing. So we need to probably initiate some pilot studies on certain intercity and urban corridors and see an intervention effect, that if you do these kind of intervention, give it a time, how much you are able to achieve by that intervention, and then if you kind of expand that intervention across the country frame, probably this is the kind of a realistic target you can achieve. I think, so target setting is a trickier part. That probably all of us probably would be kind of, so I need to set up a target in any case. let it be a practical target and not a very over-ambitious target. We need to strengthen the architecture for road safety, which is very important, which will involve all the design aspect, largely design and planning. I would put planning as well as design aspect. Increase the level of funding. Again, well, there are no best practices. How much funding should be given? We don't have any norms. No benchmarking has been done. How much of funding is needed to achieve to a certain target? I think these all areas are gray. Let us accept that fact. So we need to know whether it should be per capita funding, whether it should be per fatality funding rate. What are the funding norms? I think we need to work it out. So I need to identify who would be the kind of lead agency and a national plan and strategy. And then you need to kind of evolve interventions. Being from a planning background, I presume that why safety is bad is because we have not designed our cities really to become safe. So obviously I can't do much about the brownfield development, but the greenfield development, the new cities which are going to come should be safe. I mean, that should be one policy agenda, that next 10 years, any new township which is going to come should be, any new townships which is going to come should be safe. And if one can probably build in that into our integrated land use planning model, I think that would be a benchmark for a new city approach. Designing safer roads, improving safety features of vehicles, setting up enforcement laws. Motor Vehicle Act, as he rightly said, is outdated. It needs to be revised. And lastly, improving post-crash care for victims. Let us accept that fact that fatality is not only because of poor design, it's also because of whether the victim was really taken to hospital in time. We all know the golden hour or the platinum hour. Professor Mishra would be able to guide us properly more on that. But how many victims really couldn't reach the hospital and died on way? I think that is, the fatality is also related to the how much trauma facilities we have. I think that would also be one of the critical factors of our policy. So if I were to sum up in terms of strategies, strengthening safety of vulnerable road user, need for good governance tools and knowledge-based approach, and we need to formulate a comprehensive road safety policy. There is a government policy. What I am trying to say that, do we have a city policy also? How that national policy gets translated into city policy or policy for Delhi will probably be, city like Delhi. There are no guidelines. There is nothing which a planner or an administrator would have a target in front of him. And finally, embrace road safety as a core value in the society. I think that is a mission. That should be the thing. Well, if you do that, probably this would be the way where we are moving. We are moving seamlessly. We are not hitting each other, and the life goes on. Thank you.